Welcome back to another edition of Skipping Class. Kelvin, Jasmine, and my boy Ian over here. We're going to jump into it because we have a really good show planned for you. Let's talk about baseball and the updates that's been going on here in Southern. Got anything for me?
Baseball. Around this time this year, this is the time they're supposed to be picking it up. Right now, they're staying fifth in the conference. I think for their sake, for their confidence, they have a pretty weak schedule from here on out. I think they have roughly 7 games left. I think they want to go undefeated. Have the teams that they have remaining, aren't pretty good. They aren't good at all, really. So finish out strong, go undefeated, win these games, and head into the conference tournament with a bunch of confidence. They need it because right now, I mean, as we talked to Cody Smith last week, pitching staff is good. They are top 5 in the conference, so they have the numbers to back it up, but they can be deceiving because they have been pretty inconsistent. And I guess that speaks throughout the whole conference, as there's a really, really good offense in this conference. Pitching, just like the rest of the conference in Missouri Southern, have been pretty inconsistent. So win these games, have a shutdown bullpen the remainder of the season, and take some confidence into the conference tournament. They are defending champions, so they might want to do that. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of things is these guys are a good team. And like what Cody Smith kind of talked to is that progressing toward the end of the year, really getting in a good rhythm right now is something that's very important. So I think as they move toward the end of this season, they're going to move in that direction. I mean, we're 5th in pitching, 3rd in batting in the conference right now, which kind of speaks to their position, where they're ranked overall. But when you look at some of the talent on this team, that what we talk about every week are people that are moderately underachieving, nothing dramatic, but people that you could, have a snap in that all of a sudden are hitting bombs that aren't right now, or who are pitching lights out that aren't. And I think Hutchinson is a person that could fall into that. His last start, he went out and pitched a good, strong 7 innings, I believe it was. So if he can get hot at the right time, he could be the key, because you have Peyton Walker dominating right now. He has been since the moment he walked through the door at Missouri Southern, and he's going to walk out of here as maybe one of the best pitchers that this school has ever had.
Yeah, and he got the win on Friday.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's a leader by example, by effort, by everything that you could possibly want. So having him on the right page, and then Hutchinson coming in there second, is a big deal. And then if you can get Cody Smith, who unfortunately has struggled a little bit throughout the year, but a guy that has a lot of confidence and a lot of ability. So if you can get a couple good starts from him going down the stretch, the sky's the limit for this team.
What about the bullpen? Can they hold up? They did blow a lead in their season finale. In their series finale just on Sunday.
Sure. Well, I mean, pitching is such a difficult animal as far as collegiate goes. These metal bats make balls fly really far and really hard. So, do I think that they're capable of getting the job done? Yes. You've got a lot of experience out there. You've got Matt Hardy, you've got Goose, some guys that could come in if you're getting a short start, and then guys like Kyle McCullum, who can come in and close out the end of those games. So I think they're still searching for a couple positions, which is kind of weird. We're late in the year for that, but I think they've got the talent.
Awesome. Well, let's run over to softball. I'm so sad. Softball ended.
Right.
That really breaks my heart. How do you guys feel about that with the season ending? And our ladies did a good job to be so young.
Right. First, you know what? As I spoke to a few episodes back, regardless of if they got to the tournament or not, they had a successful year.
Yes,
I mean, the expectation coming into this year was no one had any expectation. They were chosen to finish 12th, and they finished one position out of vying for a spot in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. So they had a great year. I love what Coach Shim did. She rose the bar higher this year for a very young team. Heading into the offseason, the biggest question I think is, will she return? It would suck for those ladies if they would have to have a second coach in 3 years, a third coach in 3 years. They're not losing much. They're only losing 4 seniors. I'm not for sure what Michaela Woods. She's a senior, but she didn't play this year. I'm not for sure she's returning. But they're only losing 4 seniors. Had 4 freshmen start. Made over 208 starts as freshmen combined. So for your freshman to have that many starts, I mean, that's experience for your lower classmen, which is a rare thing. When you're a lower classman, have a whole year of experience starting as freshmen. So I think they have a bunch of good pieces going ahead. They need to shore up their pitching, because Ashley Loops, one of the seniors who's leaving, had a lot of innings on her arm. But they had a very successful year. I'm proud of those ladies, and way to go.
Yeah, I mean, it really is heartbreaking to see them lose out on it after being so close.
Yeah.
They really worked hard down the stretch, and what we talked about last week is they were playing teams this weekend that were big competitors.
Their last 4 opponents.
Yeah,
top
so
5.
I mean, they've really had a struggle down here, down to the stretch, kind of the opposite of the baseball team who was dealing with this gravy train. So, for them to even get a win or 2 out of that whole sequence is pretty impressive in its own right, especially when you speak to the level of talent and then how young all these girls are. So I really hope for the team's sake that they don't lose their coach again, because I feel like a lot of the people coming in and a lot of these freshmen and young girls that have got an opportunity to play have maybe built that relationship and they seem like they want to play for this coach. So I think that speaks volumes when you have a person in a position of power that people give a validity to, that they really want to push themselves hard to become the best that they can for that. So it's unfortunate, but great for the seniors. What a way to go out, to change the culture of this program and put it in a position to where maybe they can become prominent in the future. It's got to make all those alumni girls, Brooks Wadley and all these other girls that have just left in the last few years, Dawn, who set the home run record a couple of years back, make them proud after having a couple struggled seasons. So.
Awesome. Well, as you guys can tell, we are here in the Leggett & Platt Athletic Center.
Location.
Here on the track itself, we have a special guest coming out. So we'll be right back and we'll bring her all in.
Come on back.
Welcome back to Skipping Class. We have the beautiful Patty Vavra.
Thank you very much.
How are you? No problem.
I'm good.
Awesome. 22 years in the game. How does that make you feel? Like coaching.
22 years though. The other one I would say is blessed.
Yes.
Really blessed to be able to stay in my hometown even and coach at a school that I was attended and was an athlete here. Really an honor to be able to have represented Missouri Southern in so many different ways.
Right. Well, congratulations. Congratulations.
Yes,
what
congrats.
events did you run here at Southern? I mean, I'm curious to know.
Well, I actually played basketball as well.
Woo!
And when I was recruited by Sally Beard, who started all of our programs and was later our athletics director, she started track and field when I came here because I said I'd really like to do track and field as well as basketball. So we began a women's track and field program my first year here. But I did the sprints and the hurdles. I threw the javelin a little bit. I long jumped a little bit.
So you did a little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything.
That's good.
In the sprint areas, nothing distance,
Okay.
no throws, no pole vault for women at the time. So, but mostly a sprinter and hurdler.
Awesome. Well, my boys are going to ask you some questions. Theirs might be harder than mine.
Okay.
I'm a little
Take it
fluff.
easy on me.
I got you. So 22 years in, you're going to retire at the end of the outdoor season. Tell me, year 1 compared to year 22, what have you learned the most?
Oh, wow. So many things. I think it's a constant development of relationships, of how to motivate different student athletes in different ways, to be able to see so many things have changed. We didn't have a computer on our desk. We didn't have a cell phone, so recruiting was through a landline or we had the calling cards that we would dial in several numbers. Just so many different things. Of course, this facility, having the indoor facility, so much different than going out in the cold and sometimes shoveling snow off the outdoor track.
Really?
But generally, I would have to say that people stay the same, that athletes, as much as we think they're different, really down deep, they're still the same.
Right.
So, I think a lot of things around changed, but it's still fun to work with them and the relationships that you develop from that.
Is there a relationship over the duration of 22 years that has been more beneficial to you, or that you value the most? Is there a specific person, mentor, Sally, the person that you look to the most and value that relationship over 22 years?
Well, Sally Beard is an outstanding mentor. I think the other person that I have to say that I've really valued is Jamie Burnham. He's been here almost the entire time I have, and really been a super loyal coach, great for the athletes. Has a lot to do with our success. So, I think there's a lot of people.
Yeah, right.
A lot of people that have made a difference, I think.
Is that one of the biggest takeaways that, as you come down toward the ending period, I guess, if you will, something that you're going to have a chance to reflect on and kind of remember every single student athlete and every single coach, not only during your time as an athlete, but then during your coaching tenure as well?
Definitely. I think those relationships are the ones that, make a big difference for you, and they're the ones that I can still remember lots of moments with probably almost every athlete. And gosh, we've had great coaching staff. That's another thing that's really changed a lot is when I came here, it was Coach Rutledge and I. We were coaching every event. Jamie came on board shortly after. And then, of course, to be able to add Coach Scheiding a little further down the road. So our coaching staff has grown to the point that it's such a valuable advantage for our student athletes to have those specific coaches looking over lesser athletes, but also very specific in their event areas. But yeah, those relationships are the things I think that you continue to do it for over time. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And you guys, as far as track and field, perennially, and then specifically since I specifically have been here, just been the #1 sport at the university. It seems like through and through.
Yeah.
Is there a reason for you that you kind of identify as why that's been the way it has been? Is it just the work ethic you instill in these people, or the people that you recruit? Is there anything that stands out?
I think the people we recruit has been a key. As I said, this facility has made such a difference when athletes walk in and realize that they have the support of the university, to have the facilities that we have, to have a cross-country course on campus, and to host the national meet that many times. I think the university becomes well known, our program becomes well known, and it attracts good student athletes. And I think you have to hold them to the standard, that you have an expectation that they're going to be successful, not only as an athlete, but also as a student and a community member. And I think they grow into that. But the initial attraction, I think, has been a commitment that's been made by the university as a whole. And it trickles down to us as coaches,
Sure.
and to the athletes we hope. And so that success hasn't been quick coming. Even though you guys know that it's successful, it took time.
Sure.
Let's talk a little bit about your athletes. Who has been your most improved athlete here on this team?
Wow, on this team that I have right now,
Yes.
I hate to pick people out because there are so many, and at the same time they've improved in different ways sometimes. And some of them, I think that's the thing that I value and love about track and field, is that it's so measurable to yourself. You really get to measure how you've succeeded according to you. You can have, I think in a lot of team sports, you can have a great game, but you feel kind of bad about it because the team didn't win. And I think at the same time, measuring yourself to a clock, a tape measure, gives you an opportunity to really measure yourself to yourself. And that's, I think, why I've gravitated to this sport, for a career. Because I was involved in coaching a lot of different sports when I was at Carthage, but I think track and field and cross country are the ones that I've really gravitated toward.
Is there one track and field or cross country that you have enjoyed the most over 22 years?
I love them both in the season I'm in them. I think cross country has its own unique personality in the fact that you're not running around an oval, you're not throwing an implement, and you're working as a team. As much as we call this an individual sport, it's such a pure team event that you're working together to try to, score those points, those low points for your team. Track and field, on the other hand, are so diverse, and so many people in so many different areas can compete and see success. So I don't know, I love them both.
Yeah. So over 2 decades, you've seen a lot of good. You've been a part of a lot of good. Your resume is pretty stacked. What has been the lowest, or maybe the saddest moment you've had in 22 years at Southern?
I don't know. I think that I've tried not to make low spots. That you got to stay positive and try to see what the bright side of what's coming is. And I think that's what we have to continue to, tell our athletes, because they're in the moment thinking they're not doing well, but being able to see the future and tell that to them. And I think hopefully as our program has done the same. I don't know. I guess I try not to think about those too much, so I can't think of too many. But
There's the real life lessons from a coach right there.
So, like I said, so many good moments. So many good moments.
Tell us a little bit about the process of you leaving and what will happen after. We talked about that a little bit a moment ago, but just kind of enlighten our audience here so they can kind of have a better understanding.
We will be restructuring the program from the standpoint that we've always had a head men's and a head women's coach.
Sure.
And we brought assistants in on the women's side and the men's side. And that's the way that traditionally in the past track and field had been structured. But over the time that I've been here, probably more common is to have a coordinator over both men and women's track, and to have assistants that actually work in those different event areas. And so that's what we'll be moving toward. Coach Scheiding will be the coordinating head administrator of both men and women's track, so it'll be together. And of course, Jamie Burnham will be elevated a bit to the head distance coach.
Sure.
And of course, Brian Allen is already in a program as will be our throw coach. And what we'll do in my position, they'll hire an additional assistant that will specifically work through the sprints and the hurdles. At least that's the thought right now, without seeing the whole pool of applicants so far. But that's kind of gives the strengths of the individual coaches we already have. But I feel super comfortable that the program's going to be in great hands.
Sure.
The athletes, I don't think are going to see a major change. Coach Scheiding is ready to be that head coach, and I feel really comfortable about where the program is and where it will be going.
Sure. Give me. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I have to end it right
Jump
there.
in
But
there.
as you plan to leave, we are going to throw you a party. We're going to have balloons, cake, ice cream. So
Okay.
I want you to know you can't work out that week. You got to just eat all the junk food with us.
All right, that sounds like a good deal.
Awesome. I am going to ask you the skipping class question. When you were a student, did you ever skip class to like go to track events? Although you were an athlete, did you ever just want to like skip class and just not go at all?
I wanted to skip, but anytime I missed due to illness, I always felt like I was so far behind. So I enjoyed, first of all, I enjoyed class. I enjoyed my professors. And at the same time, I know there are times that, it feels like it's just too busy, but we really have pressed our students to be great student athletes, and they have. And that's been one of the things I'm probably as proud of as I am what they've done on the track and on the cross-country course.
Sure.
So.
Very evident from all the people I've had that I've known have been in track in my classes. So.
And they're really doing so much above and beyond going to their classes. It's like going to a job.
Sure.
They're spending a lot of hours, 20 hours a week practicing. So yeah, they're learning a lot of the great life lessons of how to balance that and prioritize things though too. So it's a good thing.
Awesome.
Starts at the top and trickles down.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
You
same here.
guys.
Thanks
We
for
really
having us.
enjoyed you and all your
Enjoyed it.
inputs and all that good stuff.
Thank
You
you.
guys, that is the end of